From the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery in Nashville, Tennessee, it's Gardening Inside Out, a podcast with highlights from our Saturday morning live show, answering all your gardening questions, giving you plant advice for any space in your life. Let's start the show.
It's March and it's Caroline.
Hey, it is March and it's Austin.
Hi, it's Tyler, and my tree's blooming.
Trees all over town are popping.
My fruit tree.
Hey, fruit trees across the board pretty much. Apples, pears, peaches yesterday, plums.
And they're so cute.
Yeah.
It's happening. It's going to be a good year for fruit, I think. I don't see any like frosty weather coming up soon, so all those blooms are going to stay intact, giving us lots of fruit. Exciting stuff.
I'm so excited for my plums.
You love plums.
I do. They're the best. I think they do really well here, better than peaches.
Huh. I've never grown plums here. I've tried peaches. I wasn't a huge fan.
The plums are somewhat effortless. I mean, you just do the standard care for any other type prunus type tree, fruit tree, and I've had really good results.
Yeah. You know, plums out of the store are like not all that great to me, but plums right off a tree, different story. That's kind of like anything though, you know?
Yeah, anything you grow,
It's so much better.
so much better.
I know. People ask me all the time out here, like, which blueberry tastes the best? I'm like, you know,
They're all good.
they're all good. If you grow them yourself and the birds don't get them and they ripen and they're beautiful and you pick them, you're going to love them.
I beg to differ on blueberries.
Tyler, how many blueberries do you grow?
Pink lemonade, sunshine blue.
Okay. Pink
And-
lemonades are money.
Yes, they are. I think that they are a very nice berry. But I think there are berries, some berries are a little more seedy, and some are slightly more mealy than sweet. And maybe that's because I don't let them ripen, because I'm scared the birds will get them.
Yeah.
But I don't know. You know, and then you get overripe blueberries, and they kind of taste like wine a little bit, like they're almost starting to ferment a little. Yeah.
There's that sweet spot. There is that sweet spot. And the mockingbirds are so annoying with the blueberries. So I get you. I understand why you pick them a little bit early because they'll, right when they're ripe, the mockingbirds know and they're coming.
Yeah. Hot tip, y'all. I got these, I guess they're like 3x3 bags that with a zipper on them, and I just literally bag my blueberries. It's like insect netting.
Oh, that's a good idea.
I don't mess around. I want my fruit.
You don't with your fruit.
And I don't really have that much of it. Like I have a small yard. I have like 4 blueberry bushes, and that's it. And they're not that big yet.
Yeah, I've got 4.
They take a minute to move too.
Lost one.
You lost one?
Yeah. Got mowed down.
Oh,
It was
like,
small.
There's no way.
Got mowed down twice. And I literally lost it in the yard and couldn't find it. So it kept getting whacked.
that is a problem with planting small plants out in the yard. I know. I've done the same thing. I mowed over some raspberries last year that I forgot my wife planted out in the yard.
I'm going to get you some yard flags, Caroline.
I have some.
That got mowed too.
Well, that's
Still
not
got
working,
it.
is it?
Yeah, took that flag out as well. Hot pink little flags that when some people come to my house they think they're flowers coming up.
Really? Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I don't.
It's the
I hate
new
how they
flag
look.
flower.
The flag flower. Yep.
Speaking of flowers coming up, how's your poppies? Are they poppying?
They are. They're popping up. They're definitely not blooming yet, but
Yeah.
it won't be long.
I know. They
They look
early.
so strong and healthy. And I just planted some more seeds on Monday.
I
Poppy
love
stems.
poppies so much.
I do too.
Poppy
They're the
stems
best.
surprise me at how sturdy they are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't think that something. It feels like almost like morning glory thickness, which is not very thick, and morning glory is very sad and
They're
floppy. but
sturdy.
They're very
Yeah,
sturdy.
wind can blow them around and they don't stay flopped. They just go back and forth like those wind guys in the car lots on
Yeah.
the side of the road.
Speaking of guys in the car lots, let's introduce our other co-hosts who aren't here. God, there's no relation to car lots, y'all.
What?
I was trying to segue over to Josh and David, who
Right. It's been a minute since we have introduced everybody. We did do intros a couple months back, but the other voices that you do hear during the broadcast, one is David Bates, who's the owner of Bates Nursery,
Our boss.
our boss
Yep.
and friend, and then Josh Carey, who has been David's co-host for 25 years now.
I know. They've been doing the show forever. It used to be a radio show. We've turned it into a live thing that we do. Broadcast it all out there on all the things.
Yeah, over 25 years they've been at it, and they did home and gardening, and then now we've just focused to gardening and plants specifically. But, you know, we can tackle things that go outside the realm a little bit too.
Yeah. People are just so though just interested in plants nowadays. I mean, it's crazy the questions we get each week. And it's a fun show. But yeah, those are the two other voices you're gonna hear.
Yes,
that's right.
Coming into this.
If you have joined us from the podcast side of things, like if you discovered our podcast without knowing that there is a live show, we do have that at the end of the podcast. Some info on how to listen to it. It's streamed live, and we're all there.
Mm-hmm. And it's fun that it's live. It keeps us on our toes, you know. We get these live questions. I don't even really like, Caroline gets all the questions, you know, beforehand. And honestly, I don't even really like to look at them until the show. And this hits me live, and I just got to think and give you an answer quick.
Keeping everyone on their toes.
And we all do that. Not just me. Caroline does it. David does it. Tyler jumps in whenever he's got a thought. It's cool. It's fun. It's lively.
It is. And plus you can see our faces. So if you're wondering what we look like, check out those videos.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that part of it.
Tyler likes to do some close-ups,
good-looking.
especially on Austin from time to time. So
He gets real close sometimes.
good look. He does.
Well, you know, when you produce a live show and then you don't get the camera set up quite before you go live, that's what happens.
That's what happens. But yeah, give us a follow, watch the show. You can send your questions in ahead of time. So if you've been wondering how to get those questions in, you can email them to gardeninginsideout@gmail.com. Give us a follow on Instagram. Gardening Inside Out is our handle. We post a sticker on Fridays. You can get your questions in or DM us.
Yeah, we do weekly answers on the Instagram as well.
Yes,
We do.
we do.
That's a fun little thing we do.
Caroline and Austin.
It's fun.
The no down.
The no down.
But
we love
let's
it.
go ahead and get into knowing all these questions that we answered and letting you hear it.
Let's do it.
Are y'all ready?
I'm ready.
When is the best time to harden off seedlings? This is a great question.
This is a good question for people that like to start their own seeds. And you know what? It's time to harden them off as the weather permits, pretty much. So if you have seedlings and they're up and they're inside your home or under a green grow light or they're in a window or whatever, they're going to greatly benefit from some warmer daytime temps and sunshine, okay? So I don't mean like take them out. If they've been inside, take them out and just blast them with sun all day long. This
They
is the
die
hardening
if
off.
you do that. Yes.
Yeah, like this is the hardening off process. So if you've got like a front porch, back porch, whatever, that you can at least get them outside into those, you know, warmer daytime temps, but not just like a blasting full sun. We'll slowly acclimate them out and leave them out as long as you check the weather, okay? If the weather dips below probably like 40, depending on the seedlings, then you probably want to bring them in for the night or whatever, but then get them back out the next day. Get them back, you know, and if it's staying above 40, leave them out overnight. We need to get them acclimated. That's what the hardening off process is. So it's really starting to get to be time to do that, but you've got to look at the weather every single night. You will lose them in one night if you are not careful and it dips down low around freezing or whatever. You're probably going to lose them. So do it that way, I think.
One of the most horticulture 101 kind of things is that particularly in the springtime at this transitional time of year, you pretty much need to be almost excessively observant of the weather. I look at it multiple times a day depending on what the forecast is, simply because we've got a lot of things that are, you know, kind of on the line.
Tender.
We don't want there to, we don't want to get things burned where, you know, generally it won't kill them as far as new growth goes. But when talking about tender vegetable plants, you're absolutely right, Austin. Getting those things, it's almost impossible to correct spindly growth habit. You know, that's an indication that they've been grown too warm and under too little light. So, you know, the operative words are to try to grow them in as bright a light as possible and in as cool a temperatures. And there again, 40 degrees or even slightly below that is highly beneficial because it keeps the plant short and it makes those little stems get thick where they won't flop over.
And I learned a lesson last year. They got sunburned. I took mine straight from the basement under the grow lights right out into full sun and scorched them.
That'll happen too.
Yeah.
Well, that's very common in your world too, with people
Yes.
taking houseplants out whenever you should bring them out, you know, if you want to use them outside. I have to do that. I have horrible light inside my home, so I've got to bring my houseplants out too. But Caroline will be the first one to tell you, you take those out and put them in that full sun directly, burn.
You're gonna burn them. People think the sun is, you know, plants need as much sunlight as you can give them, and it's warm. I'm gonna stick them out in the sun and let them sunbathe. Don't do it. Those leaves will burn and they don't recover.
Nope.
we'll get a lot of questions like, will it be okay? Will those leaves green again? No, they won't. The plant won't die. I mean, I have seen sun scorching kill some of my house plants. I put them out to get rain, completely forgot about it. And with the water on the leaves as well, it just destroyed the plant. So acclimate your plants, whether it's your seedlings or your house plants, to being outside. All right. So is it time to take straw off my strawberries?
Yeah.
I've never put straw on my strawberries.
A lot of people do. I don't really know why so much, but
Seems fun and cozy.
yeah, I mean, it kind of tucks them in, I guess, for the winter. I don't see any reason why. I mean, strawberries are very cold hardy. I mean, they're an evergreen perennial around here. You know, they'll stay up. So
Yeah.
I never even put any straw on mine.
no, I mean, it's
Now,
not.
the main reason for putting straw around strawberries is if you're using for the control of weed purposes, black plastic or other black weed barrier fabric, and that material gets quite hot if it doesn't have some kind of covering over it. So the straw over the top of those really black type of weed preventive cloths really helps a lot, because it as the temperatures begin to warm up, that those black materials get really hot in the sun. So the straw will help reduce the heat in the soil and keep it from getting so scorchingly hot. And also fruit that gets overlaying onto the top of the straw won't get scorched on the plastic. So that, from that aspect, yes. But as far as overwintering goes, probably if you live further north, it might be more of an issue. But in our part of the country, it's, they go completely dormant. There's not a thing that you're really protecting them from here. And this winter, when we had cold weather, we also had insulation on top called snow.
Yes, we did.
The leaves mainly just sit there.
Yeah. But if you want to take the straw off because you don't like it anymore,
Go ahead and do it.
take it off.
I always put straw all over my wildflower beds in the winter as it breaks down. Okay, so we're going to move into some seed talk. We had a few questions about seeds. First off, is it too late to plant milkweed seeds? No, I would say it is not too late.
No.
It's a perennial here. I would suggest planting it in the fall. I did some in the fall. I sowed them in the fall, and I've also sowed them in the spring. They were able to establish a little bit better. Being planted in the fall, they were bigger. They started getting there. But I would say it's not too late for that.
No. I mean, it's early spring, y'all. That's whenever seeds pop. I mean, it's kind of time to get them down and get that going. They're gonna jump. Milkweed, they readily.
Oh, yeah.
Jump from
They
seed.
readily jump from seed. They reseed themselves. It's a great plant. So kudos to you for planting that one. So we have another seed question. And now seeds can be a little bit confusing on when to plant them and how do I plant them. Now this one says, can I start putting morning glory and zinnia seeds in the ground? I would say it's way too early for zinnia seeds. If we get another freeze, which we definitely will, those are going to just burn off those little seedlings. So zinnias are an annual here. They're pretty tender. I mean, the first frost that comes through in the fall, early winter always zaps them. So I suggest waiting until really the beginning of May to put those in the ground. Morning glories,
Why?
why? First off, don't
Why?
do it. Every time I till up a new bed on my property, I awaken morning glory seeds that have been just sitting dormant for years and years and years, and they take over.
Yeah.
Now it's a really pretty plant. I see why you'd want to grow it, and grow it if you want to, but just know they readily reseed themselves.
They're
they
almost
just keep
invasive,
growing,
aren't they?
Yeah, they. Yeah.
They're wild.
And they'll choke out other plants. I get them in my vegetable beds all the time, and I won't even know they're spiraling up my tomatoes or like weaving through my green beans until it's,
Yeah,
I
until
would
it's
say
all,
too late, but yet
late.
can't get
it's
it out.
super hard to get them off. Yeah,
Yeah.
like they.
I'm definitely being invaded by my neighbor's morning glories.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you got
It's
them, you
crazy.
got them. Like
They're there.
Be careful with the morning glory. They
Also,
are
to
beautiful.
the milkweed seed thing, I had some luck cold stratifying them in a refrigerator for 2 to 3 weeks. So just take the seeds with a little Tupperware and some soil, some moist soil, put them in there, cover it loosely, and 2 to 3 weeks in the fridge, pull them out, put them in the ground.
Let's keep talking about getting stuff started. Someone is asking, what about lily bulbs?
lily bulbs.
Yeah, there's a lot of different types.
Mine haven't started jumping yet. I planted some last year, some perennial Asiatic lilies, and I looked just the other day to see if they're poking through the dirt at all, and they are not yet. Yeah, they like it a little bit warmer, but it is time to get them in if you can find them. I guess we have some.
We have
probably.
some. Yeah, we've got some here at the nursery.
Yeah, so that's definitely something that can handle the weather, especially now where it seems like we're doing okay with weather, and it's time to get them in. They're going to start popping up whenever it's time. Like I said, mine that have perennialized still haven't even started jumping, so get them in the dirt. They'll jump when it's ready.
I love mine. My mom will get me like Easter plants every year, and she got me some lilies one year. They were probably from Kroger.
Yeah.
I stuck them in the ground. It was just like one little plant with like 3 stems coming up, and now it's probably at least 3 feet of plant when it comes up. It's been in the ground for like 7 years. So
Wow.
It's a great plant. You never really think about putting those in the ground. I feel like it's not a very, very talked about one, but I love it. All right, our next question comes from Miriam. Good morning, Miriam.
Hi, Miriam. Miriam.
How soon can I plant potted coral bells in the ground? You can do it now, Miriam. I'm about to plant mine that are in my mixed containers so I can go ahead and get them ready for my spring containers. Mine got zapped though in our snow freeze, but they're still alive. So I'm going to go ahead and transplant them to the ground, water them really good, and they'll be real happy.
Miriam, it's a great time to do it. It rained yesterday. The ground's really moist. It's just a perfect time to get out. Get your coffee. Go on out there. Get your shovel.
Or wait till 3:30. Get out there and do it.
3:30. It'll be warm at 3:30.
That'd be next week when we're saving the daylight, right?
I'm going to pick a next question.
Okay.
Is it better to wait until spring after potential April freeze to do landscaping?
Yeah, no, y'all. We brought all of our plants out of the greenhouse 2 weeks, or I guess at the beginning of last week. I mean, even ours in containers, which plants are much better off in the ground than they are in containers. We already brought ours out, and they actually went through a 28-degree night the other night. It may have even gotten a little chillier the other night. We saw little to no damage. We saw a little bit of damage on Photinia that had really juiced up new growth. It got a little bit damaged, but nothing got injured. I mean, it's time to landscape, y'all. It's spring, baby.
We were talking about this yesterday because it is kind of confusing. You're thinking about putting stuff in the ground, and if you're not familiar with gardening, with landscaping, you don't really know when to do it. And what will make this easier is you can break it up. So you can put stuff in the ground, a lot of perennials, a lot of shrubs right now, and then you can wait until later to do more of your annuals or anything like that that's going to be a little bit more
I don't know a
susceptible to
gardener that
freeze.
doesn't need to clean up their beds.
Yeah, cleaning up beds.
If you're going to remulch, maybe do a little bit of that. If you use a Treflan type of product, it's called a pre-emergent, guys. You got to get it out before everything starts to pop.
And any of those old shrubs that you just don't like anymore, they're getting rangy, you want to get rid of. Get rid of those first before you come out and see us. I had a guest do this to me last week where she had this whole landscape that she really wanted to redo, but everything was still in there. Big, massive shrubs that had been there for 20 years or whatever. And I'm like, it really helps me to help you if you remove this stuff first, and I can see the curves in your bed. I can see the space you've got to help you design something that you're going to like better. So I told her to go home and get all that stuff out of there and then come back. Hopefully, maybe she'll come back today and we can get a landscape for her.
Well, it's just human nature. You're going to have that great big shrub that's really well established. You're going to get out there and you're going to start digging on it, and then you're going to go, this is hard.
Yeah.
And then you're going to try to move it around, and then you're going to cram everything in there where it doesn't need to be crammed, and ready to roll.
Gardening Inside Out is brought to you by Earth Mix, featuring Garden Premium Topsoil Blend. This essential mix includes Tennessee subsoil, supernatural organic compost, humic acid, and mycorrhizal fungi to create a truly living soil. Garden topsoil is perfect for establishing raised, edible, and ornamental garden beds, as well as for planting trees, shrubs, and other landscape plants. Bulk and super sack options available. Visit earthmix.net to discover their entire line of soils and amendments and helpful blog posts. Success begins at the ground level when you use EarthMix garden products.
We're getting some really great live questions in.
All right.
We've got one on YouTube. Last year was my first time growing ornamental grass. Should these be cut down in the spring? I live in Southwest Pennsylvania.
All right, PA. Yes.
Welcome in.
Yeah, I give mine a cut. Me and Caroline actually did a video, and Tyler came to my house and did a video on this, but I showed that whenever I cut mine is whenever I see just the tiniest bit of growth on the outermost part of your ornamental grasses. So you'll see them just poking above the earth. Whenever you see that, one swift chop, or if you have a big fat grass, maybe it's 3 or 4 chops. But either way, chop them. I usually go about shin height. I like to leave that word together. It's just fun. Shin height.
Is that a new Japanese maple
Yeah,
variety?
exactly.
I think that's a German cultivar.
We've said this before, yeah. So I leave, like I said, I leave the old stems up about shin level just to have, so the other grass has something to kind of keep them upright, you know what I mean? And then they grow right through that, and you've got beautiful, blades of grass again. They'll be big and beautiful by the end of the season. Thanks for watching from Pennsylvania. My parents are from Pennsylvania.
I was about to say, yeah. Austin's got some Pennsylvania ties.
Both of my parents went to Penn State University. Shout out, Mama, Daddy.
Shout out Mama and Daddy. All right, so Jane on our Facebook page asks, is this a good time to transplant canna lilies?
I mean, the good news for you, though, is that cannas are another one that they like it warm. So they're probably not jumping yet. They're probably still sitting dormant. So as long as we're in dormancy, it's a good time to do it. So it's time. Get out there and do it like soon.
They're not peaking yet, like Austin said. They like the warm weather. All right, can you recommend plants that attract pollinators that are also evergreen and that do not grow too tall? I'm considering lavender, but I'm curious about other possibilities.
Gosh,
that's a tough one.
Evergreen,
a lot of criteria
not too
there.
tall. That is. A lot of evergreens don't flower a lot.
I will say some of our evergreen hollies, I will say bees absolutely love hollies. You don't think about it because you don't even really notice holly blooms all that much. They're tucked in the foliage and they're tiny and they're white, but bees hum in that section whenever they're in bloom. So to get bees at least into your garden with an evergreen type plant, like I said, hollies, you typically do a good job of that. And there's 2 hollies that are native around here too, which is your inkberry holly and also your Ilex vomitoria, the Yaupon holly. Yeah. Both of those native evergreens, heavy bloomers, heavy bee visiting.
Heavy bee.
And contrary to what some people believe, I know there are people who are allergic to stings and have to be very careful about it. But when they are on the pollen and flowering plants, particularly in hollies, we used to grow them by the greenhouse full, and there could be tens of thousands of bees in there, and you could go in there and pull plants out. Not once ever did I get stung. They are so intoxicated with the pollen, they are not paying you attention. As long as you're not smacking at them, they're just going to fly off to another flower. So
it's a great point.
Hey, David.
They're all about the pollen. They're not about you.
About that. So. Hey, David, you know why they hum?
I think they don't know the word.
That's it.
Oh,
That was a good one, Josh.
Yeah.
That's the old hummingbird joke.
Okay.
Perfect. All right, they're still flowing in on the Facebook page. Isn't it okay time to divide perennials in Nashville? Purple coneflower is the plant that they are talking about. Again, something I probably would have done in the fall.
Yeah, or total dormancy. The one good thing you got going for you is that coneflower is super, super hardy, y'all. Okay. I mean, if you got to divide it and it's already up, I'm assuming your coneflower is probably peaking above the earth a little bit.
Mine is.
I would assume. I don't grow any at my house, but yes, Caroline has hers already up. We typically don't want to do that, but honestly, it's not a horrible thing to do because you can see exactly what you're dividing. Whenever you don't have any foliage, it's kind of hard to see exactly what you're cutting or getting or whatever. So doing it now, I think, is fine because of how hardy that plant is. Go ahead, get you a nice sharp saw and, saw it. Get as much root as you can. Get you a little shove, maybe a trowel or something, and, get as much as you can and divide it and separate it, water it. It'll be fine. It's coneflower. It's a weed. It's a good weed.
It's a
operative word
weed.
being sharp.
Yes,
It really
sharp.
helps a lot to deal with tools that are sharp. Doesn't mean you have to be more careful, but it certainly makes for a much cleaner cut whenever you're dealing with dividing things or pruning things or whatever you're doing, digging. Sharpen your tools, and it really makes the life a lot easier in the garden.
Absolutely
It's
does.
so good to divide stuff too, because what do you get? You get free plants, first off, and you strengthen the mother plant that's kind of that one that you originally planted. So you're going to get a better bloom set. You're going to get more plants out of it. It's just a simple way of propagating and an easy way to get more plants without spending money.
And
Yeah.
it's a mathematical conundrum that you actually multiply by dividing.
Yeah.
So,
Magic.
that's just the way that is.
All right. And our next one on the Facebook page, what is the difference between holly tone and plant tone?
Very minimal differences. Okay, there's really not.
Sulfur.
Yeah, there's sulfur added to the holly tone. That's the one difference. But that's really it. When it comes to the numbers, the actual NPK numbers, those 3 numbers you see on the fertilizer label, it's very minimal. They're all organics. You're not really going to burn if you overdo it, like you could with the synthetics. So not too much difference beside the sulfur that David was talking about, which is that acid-loving kind of evergreen and camellia, rhododendron, that type of plant. You want to use it for those.
So we got an email from Colin. Good morning, Colin.
What's
who
up,
we
Colin?
also got to see out at the nursery a couple days ago.
Wearing sandals. It was chilly too, Colin.
Well,
he was
Colin and I
styling, don't
talked
worry.
about how
He
we're
was
ready for
styling.
spring. We're going to force it by wearing our sandals, wearing our shorts, and we're going to make it happen.
All right.
But our email is gardeninginsideout@gmail.com. So if you ever wanted to send photos, if you want to send questions throughout the week instead of waiting for that question box to come up, I really recommend going this route. Now, Colin, I feel like maybe you were going to attach some photos to this. I didn't have any photos attached, but he says he has some pink hyacinth coming up for Austin, which just started to crack.
Hey.
And then for Caroline, beautiful lamb's ear.
Yeah.
So, Colin, if you were going to send photos, go ahead and send those. But I can imagine them. And thank you for the lamb's ear for me.
Look, lamb's ear's good in the spring, okay? I give you that.
It's great in the summer. It's very drought tolerant, and it's going wild in the summer. You don't know what you're talking
The
about.
question last week was literally, my lamb's ear looks black and awful in the center.
In the winter,
All right,
do
Colin.
your boxwoods? No, I'm not even going to go.
Don't even.
Oh,
Boxwoods and lamb's ear nowhere. Not
You
even
and
same level.
boxwood.
No.
I could go there, but I decided not to. We don't have enough time. All right, and we got a second
Austin.
question on the Gardening Inside Out email about a Royal Star Magnolia, which was purchased late August and has already started to bloom. They would like to train it into a small tree rather than a shrub. Can you provide any guidance on when I should prune and any tips how to go about that, such as how many stems to leave at the bottom and how far up I should go to remove offshoots from those?
Wonder how big a bucket it was in.
Yeah, it kind of depends. I mean, with a small plant, it is nice. Oh, I see a picture.
Oh, okay.
Nice. That's actually fairly large. All right, so with this plant specifically, y'all know it's the first to bloom, okay? And they're actually in bloom right now. We'll talk about that in a minute. But if you do any pruning over the wintertime, you will cut off some of the buds for next season. It's not the end of the world. You just kind of have to live with that as you train a young tree. I can see this one is multi-stemmed, and looks like sucker sprouts that are much smaller than the main sprouts that you probably purchased. So I would say remove those first, and let's just keep those stems that you want. This is an aesthetic for you. So if you want 3 stems, go with 3. If you want 5, go with 5. But let's try our best to make sure that those stems are open and airy, going in different directions. It is naturally a shrubby-ish tree until it starts to get larger. So doing this process now, what a good question. I mean, because you do want to start on this now. Go ahead and get on it, and you don't have to worry so much about hurting it if you prune it now. Get rid of those sucker sprouts that are smaller and just keep those stems that you like. And then let's let it grow for a number of seasons. And
How quickly do they grow?
Not very.
Okay, so I mean,
now they grow faster when they're younger, so that's nice. But they're a fairly slow plant, and as it ages and gets bigger, that's when it'll show you to prune some of those lower limbs so you can see the stems up to that canopy and that nice, beautiful white, showy plant.
Yeah, and what many commercial growers do when they are growing the tree form type of plants is that they will determine which stem has the lowest point that they can make it look right and clear the stem up to. So you'll put cut you a little cane if you need to, something to give you something to measure, or just use a measuring stick. Clear the one that can only go up so far first, and then do the others at the same distance. And it makes it look more uniform that way. And then once the flowering has finished, then you can go in and cut the top back, and then that will induce more breaks up high on it, and it'll make it thicker and fuller. And you won't really need to do any more trimming on it unless it's to remove sucker growth or shoots from below where you cleared the stems off.
Right.
So it's pretty easy.
Alita wants to know how far you cut back an Andina.
As much as you want. I mean,
Did it
pretty
hurt?
much. Yeah. If it's a big one, if it's the big, just regular old tall,
Heavenly
Domestic.
bamboo.
heavenly bamboo, I mean, you can take it to the dirt if you want to. I know my
can't kill
father-in-law
it.
did that last year after the deep freeze. The sticks looked dead. He was tired of looking at them, clear cut them to the dirt. They came back thicker and fuller and better. So if that's the one you've got, cut it. If you got firepower and it's the little dwarf, evergreen variety, to take it in half. I mean, if you want, take it to the dirt if you want. Honestly, y'all, an established Nandina ain't going nowhere no matter how you cut it.
Yeah, go on, get it. Hey, shifting back to Colin real quick. Colin went ahead and emailed that photo.
Colin!
And Colin, we can't get it up today. We'll put it up next week. But I wish you could have seen Austin's face when I opened this and he saw the picture of that hyacinth. And then I equally was just as astonished by how good your lamb's ear looks right now. I mean, that's gorgeous. And those two side by side.
That pink hyacinth is money, Colin. Money power.
He looks like he's going to cry right now.
Oh, he
he's
is.
got
I got
tears
something
in
in my
his
eye.
Do you?
Is it
I don't know.
It's
Is it
so
the beauty
good.
of
Must be
this
allergic
pride
to
and
wool.
satisfaction?
Oh, it's a frilly, pink, beautiful thing.
And it's planted, I mean, I know you guys can't see this, but it's the hyacinth planted right next to lamb's ear. And this combo is really, really nice.
Great
I
work.
love
I
it.
guess you
yeah.
guys are gonna
ground?
you're gonna have to post it later, Caroline.
Yeah.
Or
I'll
something.
put, I
You
will
can't
get
keep
it up
people
on,
waiting.
I will
Alright.
post it later.
That's so good,
Later
Colin.
today after the broadcast.
Great work, buddy.
Gardening Inside Out is brought to you by Bates Nursery and Garden Center. Spring is at our doorstep, and if your plans involve improving your landscape or starting a garden, then Bates Nursery is the essential place for what you need. They offer the largest selection of plants in the Southeast, from unique flowers and trees to tropicals, roses, houseplants, and native plants. Bates Nursery's 92 years of serving Nashville gives them unparalleled experience in stocking the plants that perform best for your home. Their friendly staff of horticulture experts are ready to assist you with your gardening needs. Located minutes from downtown Nashville in beautiful Whites Creek, Tennessee, just off Briley Parkway at exit 19. Shop inventory online before you visit at batesnursery.com. Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932. Let's talk about some pruning questions we got in. I have an old rose of Sharon that's about 15 feet tall. How far can I cut it back?
Once again, about as far as you want. Blooms on new wood. So,
Ooh,
doesn't
even
matter.
better.
Yeah. I mean, if you need it 6 foot, take it 6 foot. It's not hard. Get them all back uniform where you want them to be. Get out any crossing branches. Get out dead or dying or diseased-looking limbs. Give it a cleanup. Give it a cutback. It's going to be good. Rose of Sharon is super hardy, extremely hardy,
Yes,
and beautiful.
it is. I love it. All right, advice on pruning hollies that were affected by the freeze a few years ago.
Okay. I want to see a picture of yours because
Yes.
so many hollies are different. Some have come back from their sticks like out where they have like from the tops, but you see a lot of stems and then like a lot of growth like basal growth like at the base of the plant. And then some hollies like upright tree hollies have leafed out really tight on that main trunk, but still have gnarly sticks on the outside that are just dead. So I want to see this picture, if I could, to try to help you a little bit better, because I had one yesterday, actually, that was an email through Paula. Shout out, Paula, what's up? And
Paula.
it was that way. It was green at the top, a whole lot of sticks that were just bare and looking dumb. And then below that was new green that was coming from the earth. So I told those people, look, you're never going to see those sticks green back up again because it's growing from the top. So I had to tell them to clear cut that right atop of the foliage coming down from the bottom of the plant. That way it's going to come up and be green. You're going to have to wait a minute. It's going to take a minute for that to get back up to where it was, but it will. So if you could send me some pictures, I'll help you. I'll give you a phone call.
When you get a plant that has sporadic growth in a variety of places like Austin was talking about, it does make you have to make some decisions that you wouldn't normally make. So again, photographs like Austin's saying, are really helpful because you've kind of got to decide, well, you could do it this way or you could do it that way. And depending on what you choose will dictate how it's going to grow off. And there's no one thing that says is right for all cases. So
Right, and that goes to what
bring
you were
those
talking
out.
about during the spot just a few minutes ago. Give these people as much information as you can, because if you tell them wrong, they're going to react to what it is that you tell them, and maybe you made the mistake, not them. So it really helps. The pictures in particular are probably the best.
And being prepared. I mean, you could do a little thing like create a little album on your phone and drag all your landscape pictures to that little album. That way, you don't have to thumb through your phone trying to come up with them.
It doesn't have to be PowerPoint either. Yeah,
and we don't have to look at your Greece vacation in the process. I mean, it's not that we're.
What's the matter with my Greece vacation?
It's just that it takes time, and our time is short in the spring in particular.
My kitty.
The biggest and one of the biggest things, y'all, is observe your sun exposure. I did a landscape design for a woman. Her name's Jane. She's very sweet, very nice. But she told me she had a lot of shade. I created a shade bed for her. We torched those plants because they got way more sun than what she was explaining to me.
The tricky part is observing the amount of light an area gets throughout the day.
Yes.
And being able, and if you're not experienced in doing that, it's easy to misinterpret because you get maybe morning sun and you go, well, no, it's very sunny, but then it's shady the whole rest of the day. So it actually is shady. Whereas, or it could be vice versa. You might think, well, no, I'll go out in the morning and there's just no sun at all. And of course it's scorching in the afternoon. So or do you actually have trees that give you shade canopy all day long? And that's really the key things is their structure of some kind, be it a tree or some kind of a building that creates the shade that you need to allow for.
Let's just go ahead and take a shift right into, that other thing.
What's
man.
in bloom? With Austin.
I've actually got a list today, y'all. There's things that are blooming, okay?
All
Pansies.
right.
What a difference a week makes.
Yeah, I know. Pansies, hellebores, daffodils. We've talked about that already a couple weeks ago and into this week. They are still going good. When it comes to your shrubs, hey, forsythia, them yellow bloomers, they're out. They're looking good. Some of them are very big. I saw some on a cliff on the way here the other day. Just dangling down yellow blooms, look great. Pieris, like we've talked about, they're still Pieris when it blooms. It's just money power, y'all. And then we get into some trees. Hey, the early blooming cherry trees are blooming. Y'all are seeing some pink trees out there blooming. Those are some early cherries. Typically, Okame is a variety or autumnalis. Those two are typically blooming right now. They look really nice. We were talking earlier about the magnolias. The star magnolia, that's the white one that's in bloom right now. Multi-stemmed plant up to a tree. Some of them are big. A lot of them are small. Either way, beautiful when they bloom. The saucer magnolias, y'all, the pinks and the purple mixed together with the cup-shaped bloom. A lot of people call these tulip magnolias. Those just started like literally 2 days ago. They look fantastic. Also, if you're into fruit, the plum trees are blooming. Little white, sprawly, small trees blooming pure white right now. I'm sure Tyler's is.
Yeah, they're opening.
Yes, they look good. Really, really pretty ornamental tree, but also produces fruit, so that's cool. All your maples are blooming. You don't notice maples very much, but they've got their buds that are red. So if you see a lot of big trees right now with looks like red atop of them, those are maple trees that are actually blooming right now. We don't really think about them blooming. They're not super showy or anything, but they are in bloom. And then we get into the pears. The Bradfords and the calorie pears. The calorie pear is kind of that gnarly, thorny pear that typically blooms out in the woods. That one's blooming.
Those.
And calorie, and also the Bradford pear. They are just starting. They're not full show or anything yet, but they're starting to go. I'll be talking about those probably the next month because they do bloom a long time, but they ain't all that good.
Ain't all that good.
If your neighbors have one, talk bad about them.
You got to have a pear. Make it a fruiting pear.
There you go.
Oh,
They actually do very well here. Pears probably do as good as any fruit around.
I've got some
Pretty
pear
much.
trees, and they're about to bloom, and they're gorgeous when they're in bloom.
Yep.
I mean, stunning. Hey, I want to get to the rest of our questions that we got in live. I had aphids on my huge crepe myrtle trees last year. Y'all suggested adding neem oil in March. Is now the time?
It's March.
It is March. And yeah, unfortunately joined the club with the aphids last year. Good Lord, everybody on crepe myrtle had aphids. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do our pruning as well to get rid of any of that.
I would go with something a little more,
A little
a
stouter.
little higher viscosity. Just use like a dormant oil still on crepe myrtles right now because you want something that's going to completely smother those out. Neem oil is great. It's organic. It's very light, but it won't have the suffocation capacity that dormant oil would. So, it's still on crepe myrtles. It's not too late to be using that.
All right. Do you guys offer or have suggestions or resources for soil testing?
the Ellington Agricultural Center will do that for you.
For free.
Yep.
For free. Yeah, you send in a sample of your soil, and they will get in touch with them on how you want to do it or how you're supposed to do it. But yeah, a lot of people do that. They'll give you a whole guaranteed analysis.
And again,
And our friends over at Dickens
Yeah,
Turf and
absolutely.
Landscape Supply have a relationship with a lab that you can bring a sample in and send it off, and it'll get it tested. Generally, if you're testing a yard area, you want to take multiple samples, mix them all together, then take a part of that and send it off to get something that's a more averaged result. You don't want it to be too specific about a specific spot,
Right.
unless it is indeed a singular tree pit that you're digging out of and you're trying to figure out what to do with it.
And if
that
some
is not free. That is not free. at
No, that's
Dickens.
not a free test.
It's
That's
worth the test, though.
Yep.
and for
You want
folks who
more-
are watching beyond the Nashville or Tennessee area,
Every state has counties. Every county has an extension
extension,
agent.
yes.
That would be the first place
That's
I would
the
reach
first
out to.
start. Yeah.
But Dickens is a turf supply house. So if you've got a professional place like near golf courses, they're probably one everywhere you want to turn. So
Yep.
Okay. And are you getting David Austin roses in this year? They're asking that about here at Bates Nursery and Garden Center.
Of
Go
course.
Austin.
We get them every year, people. We got them. We got Weeks roses coming that has some really beautiful roses, but
Yep.
the David Austins are really, really popular. They're a little bit more expensive. You got to pay for them. Old David's fancy, okay?
Okay.
But they're beautiful. And when they're in bloom, I mean, they're the highest petal count you can imagine.
Oh, wow.
Some of the best climbers, some of the most just
I need a
smell
climber.
good.
It's a
gotta
great
put a
day when that
climber
comes in. It's
Ah.
almost
And
as
they're
exciting
very-
as Isley.
They're very tough and resilient too. They don't really have as many pest and disease problems as other roses do. They're pretty awesome.
And they're
Beautiful.
gorgeous.
gotta have a climber.
We only got
Gotta
one
have a
hydrangea question in this morning.
Oh.
Best fertilizer for hydrangeas.
Plant time.
Plant on.
Back around to the Espoma
This
talk.
kind of depends, though. If you do have a hydrangea that you want, to say the Endless Summer collection, the ones that either turn blue or turn pink, depending on what color you want, that does kind of depend on what fertilizer you give them. If you want a blue hydrangea, if that's the one you've got, we need an acid-loving fertilizer. We need to acidify that soil to keep that bloom blue so it doesn't turn pink on you. Other than that, though, across the board, hydrangeas, I mean,
Yeah.
take your pick.
And
you
there
can
are
change the color.
Espoma does have that
Yeah.
soil acidifier, which is essentially is a faster release form of sulfur.
Yeah.
I think is it aluminum sulfate or magnesium
Probably.
sulfate?
I think magnesium
something
sulfate.
that will change the pH rather dramatically, rather quickly,
Yeah.
and get you the color change.
Read the label on that one, though, boys and girls.
Do it. While we're on the fertilizer topic, we have a question asking, should I fertilize my Japanese maple?
Actually, no. Honestly, unless it's stressed for some weird reason, you have like yellowing leaves or whatever. Like I've read a lot about Japanese maples. Their fall color does not get quite as good if you fertilize too much with nitrogen. Okay, so I don't recommend really fertilizing them unless they need it.
Yeah. Risha's got
Another
it. Go ahead,
part that-
David.
why you might not do it now is that Japanese maple are the biggest freeze issue with them is a freeze that comes out after they flushed new growth. So if you really juice them up and push a lot of new growth out early, and then you have a freeze, there's going to be a lot more damage on them. So I'm in agreement. You know, you can wait a little while on that one.
Okay, Risha's got a quick question, and we might have to readdress this next week because this is kind of a little bit of a, I don't want to call it controversial. Your thoughts on imidacloprid for crepe myrtles beyond just the imidacloprid act.
Okay. Imidacloprid is the active ingredient that is probably the stoutest chemical for insects on the planet.
Yep.
I think it's already been banned in the UK. It is something that is still used in the States. It is taken up by the plant, so it's in the plant, and it lasts for almost a full year.
Yep.
I don't recommend it for crepe myrtles just because they bloom so heavily that bees are really all about it, and you will just mess up that. I prefer you not to do that.
No.
Live with aphids before you kill bees.
Yeah.
Yep. So, no. We don't like
Again,
that idea,
the dormant
Risha.
oil, what we
Yes.
talked about earlier, that will do a very good job. It has no effect on the bees whatsoever, and it can be quite effective.
Thanks for watching, Reesh.
Yes, absolutely. Great question too. Because it's
Really
in,
good one.
It's in a lot of stuff that you don't realize it's in too. So be real careful with that. All righty, folks. Music means that this edition of the Gardening Inside Out program is coming to a close. But next Saturday morning, it'll still be regular time. It'll be on at 8 o'clock, and We'll be all here, but
that time's not gonna change. It's
Nope.
just a question where the sun is in the sky.
open till 4 today, so we get them
That's
out
right.
here and ready to rock and roll. Hey, for everybody here at Gardening Inside Out, we thank you for participating. We appreciate it very much. Share the word. We'll see you next week.
Thank you for tuning into the Gardening Inside Out podcast. If you're looking for more information or more from your hosts, don't forget that we have a live Saturday morning broadcast, 8 a.m. Central Time on YouTube and Facebook. You can also follow us on our Instagram channel. That's @Gardening Inside Out for more posts, reels, and in-depth dives to topics and things we've discussed on the show. If our content resonates with you, consider giving us a follow, like, and subscription on all of our social media pages. See you next time.